talk about State of Origin. We've already made plenty of references to who's in this New South Wales team. I'll run through it 1 through 17 plus the reserves. Mm-hmm. That is Paul Gallen's slide. I saw James Tedesco. I said, that is not correct. This is the official side. Yep. Dylan Edwards, 1. Brian To'o, 2. Stephen Crichton, 3. Joseph Suolai, 4. 5, Zach Lomax. 6, Jerome Luai. 7, Nico Hines. 8, and captain, Jake Trebojevic. 9, Reece Robson. 10, Payne Haas. 11, Liam Martin. 12, Angus Crichton. 13, Cameron McInnes. 14, Isaiah Yeo. 15, Hamoli Olakawatu. 16, Spencer Lenu. 17, Hudson Young. Carrying Matt Burton, Luke Keary, and Mitch Barnett along for the ride. Mm-hmm. What are our thoughts here, lads? We've already spoken about Teddy and Edwards. End of an era. Edwards is the new man. Edwards' play definitely warrants selection. Yep. I think it's a little hard to leave Teddy out, but Edwards will have the one on his back. Mm-hmm. In terms of wing positions, Josh Addo-Carr misses out. A lot of people had To'o in their sides anyway. Suoli'i playing in the centres is maybe the interesting pick here. Yep. With a guy like Latrell Mitchell missing out. Mm-hmm. His form, South's form, probably
warranted as well.
Plays into
and
it.
He missed about a month too, so...
There was also he could have been suspended, but he got off, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he was just fined.
Yeah.
I think he entered early play.
Play, was facing 2 weeks, took the $3,000 fine, didn't get picked. There was also some rumours about Jesse Ramian. He's been pretty good for the Sharks. Sharks coming first. Should have a lot of Sharks, you'd think. He'll have to wait for his origin.
Do we have one? Nico Hines the only Shark?
No, Cam McInnes.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
It's only 2. Only 2 Sharks suiting up there for the Blues. Now, centre is probably the most banged up position. There's a lot. They're very banged up. But
Bradman Best last week, I think, has probably forced their hand a little bit, and that's maybe why Lomax ended up on the wing and they've pushed Joseph inside.
Yep. Tommy Turbo did his hammy a few weeks ago. Clint Gutherson not available from a knee. Tony Staggs, I think, was a good shout when Best and Turbo were both injured. Staggs was probably a good shout until he did his ribs last week. Yep. Campbell Graham obviously hasn't played all year. Pappy was looking okay, but again...
He just had surgery on his foot, so...
Yeah, had a shocking run with ankle fractures. And again... You know, you can play Turbo and Mitchell in the centres because they're big bodies. I don't know if you can play Pappy in the centres.
No, he's a one through and through.
He's a one, maybe on a wing before he got injured. So, look, their hand was definitely forced. And in terms of outside backs, they're going to have 3 debutants in Edwards, Suoli'i, and Zach Lomax.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is probably Addo-Carr missing out, considering, I guess, again, another one of those veterans been there and done that. But whether with Joseph and Lomax and with Zach, they've gone with maybe a bit more size on that side.
Rather than speed,
considering Queensland's going to have size on their side. Yep. So, maybe a little bit of like for like. But I can't say as the Queensland I'm disappointed that that's the side they've put together.
You're the Queensland fan here. Does the Fox scare you the most out of those names?
Oh, well, I think it doesn't scare me the most, but I think the consistency is there. And I'm looking at game plan, I'm going, To'o and Crichton's side, let's ignore that. We're going down the other edge. Yep. That's where we're going to try and attack. We'll attack the debutants, the young fellas, and see what they can do in this arena. Yeah, that's what I would be thinking. So, as a Queensland, I'm not disappointed in a few holes, few gaps.
Well, it's a good point as well. They've gone the 2 debutants on the same side. So.
They might not line up like that, but I think the connection, if you're using some of that, that Penrith
connection,
it wouldn't surprise me if you see some plays out that side where you've got Dylan Edwards out the back, otherwise running the show, and you've got Crichton and To'o doing that. So, you see some of that connection that they like to have in the New South Wales squad. It's helped and hindered them. But we'll have to see how this one plays out. It's probably not as Penrith heavy as it has been in recent years, but it's still a fair few Penrith blokes in this one.
It's probably largely due to
And
injury, though.
And having said that, ex-Penrith guys as well.
Yeah.
Now other squads, but still, I'd throw in the caveat that they've been through that system. They know how it all works out.
There's 5 current Panthers, but then if you include ex-Panthers that know the system, Crichton's in the starting team and Burton on the extended bench. So there's a lot of Penrith feeling about it still.
Yes.
Lomax's form's been incredible. He has
Outside of a couple of days ago, but
yeah, and that I thought that was his final audition for the side. I thought he possibly, I think I used the word blacklisted for after that game. He does have errors in him. He does have the hero play. He loves the flick pass. He has a few brain fades here and there. But in terms of being a meter reader and just going crazy amount of hit-ups after moving to the wing this year and actually probably stringing together his best few months of footy. Happy for him as a Dragons fan, getting a nod.
Yeah, I think the wing's probably a good spot for him because those 50-50 kind of plays are probably limited with what a ball he does get, and when he tries to do a 50-50 play and it doesn't come off, at least it's in situations that aren't as damaging as they were when he played a bit more in the centres and got a bit more ball. So, I don't mind it, but I think it's an interesting one. Daniel Tupou had an awesome game the other day as well, like for a guy that, again, has played in New South Wales and has size.
I was going to use Tupou as that comparison with the whole Addo Carr argument as well being left out. Like you do always, New South Wales, again, new coach now, but has always had at least that one big winger on one side in Tupou. So, yeah.
I think they needed to sprinkle some new flavour into this team, and they've done that. And you can't say that Lomax's start to the year, if you look at the whole year as a package, isn't bad outside of one game. Like he's definitely been
a great winger.
he's been in form, so I can see why they've picked him.
So as well, the knock on him is that he's not going to be there next year. Should we pick someone that's going over to rugby? I think you have to just pick probably your best 17.
Yeah, and caveat on that, if Madge is going to be Eels coach next year, then he probably doesn't give a fuck about being retained, getting another contract for next year. He just wants to win, and if he thinks Joseph has the talent, then he's picked him.
Need to win this year.
Yes.
Into the halves, so Jerome Luai retains his 6th spot, and Nico Hines has the 7, carrying that calf injury.
Kiri as cover.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting, but also fair. Like, the Roosters have been pretty good this year. Much better, and he's a big part of that. Surprisingly, we found out that he played one Origin.
Yeah, I thought he played the whole series.
Yeah, I thought he played a lot more than that.
Just grand finals, bruh.
Yeah, exactly, And, for a guy going into retirement, I think it's probably a good fitting story, to put him in there. Because there's all a chance that he'll be 7 if Hines can't go.
Into the forwards, Payne Haas
Picks
himself. Jake Trebojevic, the new captain of New South Wales. In terms of work ethic and leadership and all-round likability, I think Jake Turbo, by all accounts, is the man. So congrats to the new skipper of New South Wales.
Yeah, he's perfect captain. He can do all the media work all week, and he'll be able to do that, lap it up easy.
No surprise there for the starting props. Reece Robson, probably a bit of a surprise. I did think he might have been there or thereabouts. I was quite surprised that Api Coruscant missed the side completely.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if they were going to go Robson and Api with a sprinkle of Cam McInnes, who, spoiler alert, is in there.
Yep.
I thought Api's, on his day, is probably the most electric hooker in, well, at least New South Wales hooker in the game, and has been a shining light in the games that the Tigers have won. He's been a big part of it. We'll see what happens if he plays it all throughout the series, but I thought that was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, but I guess Madge is stuck to the form side of it. The Cowboys are doing better than both, the Tigers and say Souths for Cook. So
Robson might have got in on his last 2 games because the Cowboys were pretty awful before that. And then an injury question mark around Liam Martin. Can you see if he's had scans yet, if we know what's going on?
Hamstring for
Hammy,
him.
yes. And he only did that
in the game.
yesterday. So
I don't think he plays.
Yeah, it's 11-day turnaround. You'd want it to be the most minor of
Yep.
hamstring issues.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very rare for blokes to, come around in 2 weeks, even for a sort of grade one.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
And not for something like if you expect him to play 60 plus, maybe even closer to the 80, they'll be expecting big minutes out of him.
I don't even like talking about hamstrings. Panthers coach Ivan Cleary said, no shit. No shit.
Since Osmosis has taken a rest this year, it's
Yes,
the year of the hamstrings.
Yeah.
So.
Can you say syndesmosis again for me?
Osmosis.
Pretty close.
It's a bit nasally at the moment.
What have you been doing?
I had to run my lines before we were doing that. I had to practice, bro.
Anything there on Martin's hamstring? No. He's had scans. He's named, so they're assuming it's a grade one or hammy awareness.
Yeah. So a few guys carrying injuries into this one. They do have Hudson Young in, I
17?
think, in the 17ers. So I feel like that's good cover there if Martin can't miss. Or if he misses, Hudson, I think, will come straight in as a replacement.
Or Olakuatu. He has been lights out. So many Blues fans, Manly fans have been demanding that Big Hamolo gets his debut. He'll find himself wearing jersey number 15. Angus Crichton wearing jersey number 12.
He's been good all year. And it looks
excellent.
like Bruce is going to resign him. So.
And resurgent as well, given his struggles last year. Cam McInnes, the bloke has about 3 teeth, but he puts his...
Each one makes 10 tackles, bro. So.
100%. He gives 150% every single game. Saw a lot of him, he former Dragon as well, so saw a lot of his work ethic.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, has played a bit of hooker, so can be your coverage in that. I think more likely he's going to be playing in the second row somewhere, but if need be, if Robson needs a break, he can always move in there.
Isaiah to 14, and Spencer, we've already spoken about Hamoli and Hudson Young. Spencer Lenu in the 16 jersey after playing only, 3 or 4 games. Had the massive suspension following the racist remark from Vegas.
Yep. Yeah, I think it just goes that they're very light on props. There's not a lot available unless you want to go to previous guys that have played and veterans,
Parramatta guys, we're talking about it pre-show, RCG, Junior Polo, Parramatta's form, probably they don't warrant selection. I already mentioned before, I thought Keon Kalamatangi was very close, but a bit thin on props. Terrell May, Stefano Otokumano, they sort of miss out. I quite like the team. The Appy not being in there at all, I thought was surprising, and then obviously the huge talking point of Teddy going for Edwards. Outside of that, it's not super surprising. I thought Matt Burton may have done enough to get himself into the starting 17. It'll be interesting as well if Nico's no good to go. Does Burton slot in into 6 and Luai at 7?
Maybe. Yeah, there has been some talk about Luai potentially playing 7. Some rumours about that. Maybe not for game 1, but I could see Burton playing 14 in one of the other games. Being, I guess, more coverage.
True utility.
More like as a more true utility. So, it'll be interesting to see how that team plays out through the series. But as the Queenslander, it's probably not the scariest side that's been put together by New South Wales in recent memory. I definitely, I can't remember what year it is, but the year they had Terrell and Turbo in your centres, and when they were like the best 2 players in the world. That's where you go, oh shit. Whereas you kind of, and I think for both teams, it's been a very tough year for injuries to the star players, and it's just like, it's the best of who's left. So,
that's a good little segue into the Queensland team. Let's go through our unavailables. The big names, Cam Munster doing that groin last week, looked like he was in a lot of pain.
Reoccurring one as well.
May be okay for game 3 if it goes to a decider. People that won't be good for any of them, Big Tino, ACL, Callum Ponga with that Liz Frunk, and then Tom Gilbert, Tom Flegler, and Cohen Hess. Flegler might be okay for some, but the other blokes are all ACLs. Banged up, probably not as banged up as New South Wales, but any
Well,
team.
you missed out Ponga as well is a big one.
I said Ponga, bro.
Did you? I thought you skipped it.
No, because I was thinking about my pronunciation of Liz Franck, and I went the French pronunciation instead of going the Liz Frank, as we would say. Maybe having Monaco F1 in the
I cleared it up. It's all good.
Gone down that way. Anyways, any team that you say doesn't have Big Tino, Cam Munster, Kalen Ponga, there's some big outs. So whilst New South Wales maybe has more breadth of injury, there's some big names missing for the Queenslanders.
Definitely. And well, Walsh played today, I believe, and I don't think there's been any issues overcoming his knee injury from last week where he had pulled up lame. So hopefully he's okay to go because that will significantly change how the squad lines up. And it might be the reason why the rumours for Mr. Cobbo is that he's going to be the utility is going to be 14, which would be an interesting role for him because at the moment we're thinking Walsh, Cobbo, Holmes, Hammer and Talangi will be the back five.
1 through 5 incumbent as per last year.
Yeah. If they want to change up the roles, maybe Coates comes in and Cobbo drops out. So, Walsh,
or Talangi.
Yeah, or Talangi. I think the conversation is Cobbo is going to be 14. You put Coates in. If Cobbo then has to play 1, then that's kind of he fits in there. But I think it'll be those 5 with something to do with Coates, and we'll see how that plays out. But I think those will be the guys.
This Cobbo is a 14 rumour as well. Have you got confirmation on who was it Chamis that was reporting that?
I believe so. Yep. It's
Chase that.
It's definitely
to mine, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you've got Ben Hunt and Harry Grant. I think that will be your starting hooker and your 14. True. So we'll see if there's what has been reported. He was bloody pretty spot on with the New South Wales team.
Yeah, but I wonder if Ben Hunt's going to miss out.
Completely.
Yeah, whether Harry will go in at 9 and they'll play Cobbo at 14, which would be interesting. But I don't think Harry can play 80. So that if that's the if I'm trying to make everything align, if Cobbo's going to be on the bench as a bench utility, then that means whoever's 14, and I don't think you're going to leave Harry Grant out of the side, whereas I guess Ben Hunt and the Dragons, his form is struggling, but after what Ben Hunt did last year, I think he deserves a spot in the team anyway. So
what he did for the Dragons or what he did for Queensland or both?
No, not for Dragons. What he did for Queensland is all that matters. So, yeah.
So you always have, again, we say it every year, you always have players that just come out for Origin. Ben Hunt.
Thank Gagai was a classic, wasn't he?
Well, we've put a line through Gagai saying he's a bit too old in this,
days.
and the young fellas have taken over. So
he's not going to beat out a healthy Hammer or Val Holmes.
And Hammer scored today and looked fit, so I think Hammer's got that one tied up.
It looks like Selwyn Cobbo is being tipped to maybe have a utility role. As per Wide World of Sports, I think there was a few people reporting it.
Yeah, because he can play 6, like he can be a running 6. That's definitely doable. Because the rumours are Deaton's got 6 over Marm. I think Marm will be Ezra will be in the extended squad, but I don't know if he'll. I don't think he'll play in this first game if that's the case. DCE will be 7.
Picks himself.
Yeah, Ruben Cotto and Lindsay Collins will be your middles. Still that question of hooker, if they did the same plan as last year, Ben Hunt and Harry Grant will be the 2 with their rotation. If someone's got to drop out for Cobbo utility, I think it makes the most sense to be Ben Hunt in that conversation, which would be a huge call. And then we go into...
What about your edges?
I think the second row is probably... and then into the bench is probably the most interesting of the Queensland side. Because I think Nanai and Carrigan definites. Rumours are for Feeder's going to get the axe and miss out. Jan Sewer's been pretty good. Kafisi's been, veteran, been pretty good for the Dolphins. Missed out on most of the last series through suspension, I want to say. Welsh could be in the team somewhere.
Wasn't there last year.
Some chat about Hopgood and...
I like Hopgood as a pig. Like, just talking about the poor Parramatta blokes not getting a look into the New South Wales team. If you want the sort of Cam McInnes sort of type, just workhorse, could go out there and make 50, 60 tackles in 60 minutes. Jermaine Hopgood probably is built for Origin. in terms of middles, Mo Fodawaker
Yep.
has been there and done that. A lot of talk about Corey Jensen maybe making his Origin debut. It's probably not as deep as the New South Wales bench, but certainly any of those guys. Bo Firma has been excellent coming back.
Yeah,
this
well, we
year
mentioned
off
all
his ACL.
we mentioned all the forwards that were missing. So Big Tino is probably the big name out of that, but Flagler, Gilbert, etc.
Wally Lewis has got his Maroons team there. He's gone Walsh, Coates, Cobbo, Val Holmes, Hammer. So no Taulungi. Did and DCE, Collins, Harry Grant starting, Mo Fodawaker starting, David Fafita, Ruben Cotter, Pat Carrigan, Ben Hunt, Christian Welsh, Nanai, Hopgood.
Yeah.
For the Kings.
I think
17.
the Cobbo conversation's interesting because he's been playing, I think, in the centres mostly for Brisbane recently.
Yep.
And he's been very good. So, play him in the centres and push the Hammer outside maybe.
Well, we'll have to wait till tomorrow to see how the Queensland team lines up. Probably a little bit less speculation going into the Maroons, given just less banged up, but they will certainly be missing some elite players in the likes of Munster, Tino and Ponga.
Yep.
10 days till Origin, Game 1. It's in Sydney. Game 2 will be in Melbourne. Game 3 as at Suncorp. Really, really worrying if the Blues drop Game 1, having to go to Victoria and then up to Suncorp to try and win it. So it's going to be a lot of pressure for Madge and the Blues in their first game without Tedesco in a long time.
Yeah, it's the Melbourne game will be the one that matters, I think, the most, being the neutral. You'd expect the others to win at home, but yeah, it could be 1-1 going into the last, or New South Wales could have it done by Game 2.
Origin curtain raiser into NFL at the MCG
Yes.
in 2 years' time.
Yeah, that'd be